You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I didn't know until recently they're actually going to do a Love Boat reunion cruise. And it's supposed to depart on the Regal Princess from Galveston, Texas on November 16th. And for the first time, they'll have Charo. If you ever watched The Love Boat, she was a frequent guest. They'll have Lauren Tews, Fred Grandy, Bernie Capel, the ship's doctor, Ted Lange.
Wait, Bernie Capel's still alive?
Still alive. He's in his 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, he's been around from like Get Smart days.
Yes, Ted Lange and Jill Whelan. Did I ever tell you, Mark, we had Ted Lange on the show?
You did not. I have interviewed Gopher, and I've been hung up on by Lauren Tews.
Is that how she pronounced it?
That's what I understood.
Okay.
I could be wrong if I am. I'm sure somebody will correct us.
Well, she needs to come on the show. But we had on Ted Lange. This was maybe, 10, 11 years ago.
And they say I was very successful comedically on Pat's show. And they said, we got another show about a boat and so on and so on, so we want you for that. And it was Jimmy Comack was the producer of T and Tina. Aaron Spelling they were friends. Mm-hmm. So he says, take Ted. He's a good guy. So I did an audition. I didn't have an audition because the producers knew each other. Okay, so the guy goes, how is he to work with? Great, you have a great time with him, a good kid, like the kid. So I go on, and Bernie Capel and Fred Grandy kept saying, well, when did you do your screen test? And I said, I didn't do a screen test. They said, you didn't do a screen test? I said, no, they're really good actors. They just asked them to be on the show. You guys did a screen test? And they go, yeah, I did a screen test. So I would tease them for years later. I would tease them whenever they messed up. I'd say, that's why you had to do a screen test right there.
But I'm sorry, Richard, but literally everyone who was someone or going to be someone later on in their acting career was on The Love Boat.
Yeah, they came through there. Yeah, absolutely. And it was fun. You could tell the ones that we had a couple of clinkers in that, but you could always see the ones that were going to go on. Billy Crystal, Tom Hanks, Lonnie Anderson. You could see them coming through.
Tom Hanks was on Love Boat?
Tom Hanks was on Love Boat. That was the first show he did before Bosom Buddies. He had acquired Bosom Buddies, and they gave him a guest shot on Love Boat before they even started filming Bosom Buddies.
Now, that's something new. Oh, how about that for a history lesson? He's not done.
Yeah. So that's how we know. You can see talent, though, Mo. You can see talent. And so he came on our show. The other thing we did, our show did, was we resurrected the old guard. So we would bring out Greer Garson and Ginger Rogers and all the Douglas Fairbanks Jr., all the older stars, and you put that all in the mix.
My God, how old was Greer Garson by then?
I was reading somewhere you also would learn something from the old guard. What was this? If I said Lloyd Bridges to you, what would come to mind?
Well, Lloyd Bridges, he was very professional. But the one that I really got something from was Ralph Bellamy.
Oh.
Ralph Bellamy was in, for those of you that don't know, Trading Places. Yes. He was one of the old guys. This guy knew camera better than any guy I knew. And he always knew what, if the shot wasn't what it was supposed to be, he would know, But he would always, and he was trying to be a gentleman. He says, so Ted, are you going to do a close-up here? And I go, yeah, how did you know that? So he was checking on me to see if I did my homework, But anyway, he did a scene with Dorothy Malone, and in the scene, on his two-shot, Dorothy Malone leaned a little bit too much to the right, and he leaned with her and kept talking so that he kept himself free on the camera. You understand what I'm saying?
Within frame.
Mm-hmm. So she leaned, he leaned, and the camera panned with him, and then she moved back, he moved back, without missing a beat. So me and the cameraman was a guy named Arnie Rich. We went, man, that's amazing, because he was a veteran. He'd been around. So what happened is, whenever we had, I would do scenes with someone that liked to lean, my cameraman, Arnie Rich, would say, Ralph Bellamy. Ralph Bellamy. So then I knew that I had to be cognizant of the actor I was with, because somewhere along the line he would lean and I would have to lean too in order to stay in the shot and not ruin the take.
Was there anyone else who passed on something like that explicitly or implicitly that you might have learned from?
Oh, yeah. Greer Garson came on, learned everybody's name. She came on for 1 week, and she'd say, "Good morning, Mr. Lange. How are you?" And I say, "Well, I know who you are. You're Greer Garson." Now some of the younger kids are not going to know these names. Go on YouTube. Go on IMDb and find out who these are. But these are old guard. And so they were always ready to go. They always knew their lines. They always hit their marks. They always came in prepared. And when they got ready to shoot, they were there before. In other words, you didn't have to run around looking for them. They were there or they stayed close by. So that's stuff I carried with me when I went on to do other shows, and particularly when I'm working with young actors, I try to pass those kinds of things on, because the old guard, they had time is money. And that's what people forget, because what happens is they read a lot of magazines and stuff, and they see how people are acting up, and they want to act up like the other stars. But what I learned is this: your reputation is what you did that day. So if you come in and you're good that day, that's your reputation. If you're a pain in the butt, that's your reputation.
And you've earned it.
And you've earned whatever. Yes, whatever it is, you've earned that. So that's one of the things they taught me. That's your, whatever you leave on that stage, that's your reputation.
I got to tell you, that was one of my favorite conversations when Ted Lange came in studio. This was at least a decade ago, and told us his behind the scenes about Love Boat. And the reason why I replayed that is because Love Boat, they're having a reunion cruise from Galveston, Texas, starting on November 16th, and they'll sail for 7 nights, stopping in Honduras and Mexico. And of course, they're going to televise it. I don't know how it's going to be done, but can't wait for that. And this is another example. You have to do it while people are still here. You can't wait too long, or you'll end up losing everyone.
It's so weird to think how they're now in their later years. And what I liked about watching the show when I was a kid was all these old timers. Like, you get Craig Stevens from Peter Gunn,
yes,
who just needed a paycheck, needed to keep his insurance current. And if people who don't know who Greer Garson was, she was one of the great beauties of the golden age of Hollywood. Look up a movie from the 40s with Ronald Colman called Random Harvest. She was just one of the luminous beauties of the 40s. And so you get her in, like the late 70s. I actually haven't seen that episode, and I would like to see how she did.
That's the best part, I think, of my job, is being able to have those conversations and get those anecdotes, those stories, which are firsthand memories of a show, a classic show like Love Boat, that only Ted Lange most likely can tell that story, like with Ralph Bellamy. That's the best part of my job.
Did he tell you about any of the rampant behind-the-scenes drug use?
He told me about that, and also the rampant behind-the-scenes sex.
Yes.
He just didn't do it on air because he was trying to be respectful. But yes, that was ever present. And the people were always drunk, always high, and they were enjoying the free cruise that they were on. And, and in between the time of being high and having sex, they film a TV show.
Well, I should hope so.
Man, if I was just alive just a little bit earlier in time, get on the Love Boat.
Yeah. Maybe we should go on that cruise. Do you think KFI will foot the bill?
No. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Later with Mo Kelly, live everywhere on social media and the iHeartRadio app. And I got to say again, I love what I do more than anything in the world, because it allows me to have these conversations which turn into memories. And then when there's a more recent story, I get to pull out the old conversations and not just talk about Love Boat, for example, from a distance, but talk about it is like, yes, I remember talking to one of the principal cast members who's on every episode, because if you know Love Boat, every episode had a scene with Ted Lange, the bartender, and someone interacting with him, usually whoever was the guest star.
Yeah. Listening to that interview, that was one of the classics. And it was especially thrilling for us because he was such a hardcore nerd. Blew us away. It was like, dude, how are you sitting here nerding out with this? You are an icon, a legend.
He stayed a whole hour in the studio.
Yeah,
he stayed a whole hour and had conversation with them afterwards. Those are just the types of conversations. Like, I couldn't tell you everything that he told me, because some of it was told in confidence off air in between segments, because he was very respectful of not outing, if you will, certain people, certain things that have happened, people who were still living at the time. I don't know if he came back on now, whether he would even be more free with the information. But that's the best part of this job. Absolutely the best. And also talking about stories like these. If you should go to Bali, Indonesia, be careful with your belongings. And that, I mean, like your sunglasses, your wallet, your phone, any type of valuable which could be lifted off your person. Because every single week, long-tailed macaques, which is a type of monkey, will steal your phone, your wallet, other valuables from you as a tourist in broad daylight, and then hold it hostage for you to trade with them food, like give them a melon or something, and then they'll give you your wallet back.
Really?
Crazy. They even have video of it where people are just like, let's say, taking a picture of the water. The monkey will come up and snatch the phone out of their hand and then wait for you to give the monkey something in return. We have video of it right now on our YouTube channel. You have to give something for you to get your own stuff back. And it's going to hold it hostage until you give it some food.
That is crazy.
And it's almost like, if you see the video, it'll give you one item per piece of food that you give. So if it steals your wallet and your phone, you got to come up with 2 items. You got two food items. And it'll trade 1 for 1 and 1 for 1.
Little thieving monkeys.
And see, the thing is, you're not going to fight them because macaques, they will go off on you.
They're very strong too. The little fingers can scratch your face off.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with them. And you have to ask yourself, how important are these sunglasses to get back? How important is this phone? Well, yeah, we might need to get the phone and the wallet.
But still, who wants to come back from their vacation and look all bruised and battered and have your friends saying, man, like you're going on vacation in a minute. You don't want to come back. And we say, Mo, what happened? And you say, well, there's some macaques. And I thought I would, get wise with them and try to get my stuff back, and they jumped me.
I don't think I've been anywhere where there have been macaques. There have been like rhesus monkeys.
They're just as thieving as macaques.
Yeah. And they'll do these, but usually when I saw the ones in Spain and in Europe, they would do shows. And unfortunately, it was abusive to the animals because the monkeys would be out there in diapers, which meant that they were out there all day long, just performing, and they were performing for the owner of the monkey. You're throwing like coins in a hat for the owner of the monkey. The monkey's just out there performing, doing all the work, like they were pimping the monkey out.
Yeah.
This is completely different because these monkeys are doing this on their own without any human inspiration.
But I think these monkeys aren't getting the credit they deserve by watching thieves and pickpockets and the like and saying, hey, these people are going over to these people and they're doing a thing and they're walking away with something of value. We can do that too.
Well, I have to wonder, how do they process value? Just because I'm holding it in my hand, they know that it's of certain value to me, and they know that we're desperate enough to give them something to get it back. That's the strange thing.
How do they know to barter?
I don't know because I don't think they're being taught explicitly by humans. I think they just figured it out.
Because there is some portions of the video where someone who lost, I think, their phone is trying to get it back and offers them, like, I think, a piece of candy or something. And they're like, no,
not enough.
Yeah, had to offer something better before they got their phone back.
And then I saw one video where they got a bag of candy and they opened the bag of candy to eat out of the bag.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And they're also taking, like, the valuables that they're taking. I've seen them take a couple of sunglasses and break them. At that point, I'm getting my water bottle and I'm about to spray you because why are you breaking my sunglasses?
You're going to be attacked.
You're going to get attacked. and you're going to have your eyes scratched out. I'm sorry.
Spray a wild macaque. You have all that Louisiana.
They've already figured that into like, if you get froggy and,
it's a monkey.
Yeah,
it doesn't play like, I dare you.
There are no rules here. No. Okay,
it's like I snapped your thing. You spray with water.
Yeah, these guys aren't Curious George. They're killers.
No,
they're killers.
They've just found a less violent way to get food, but they will resort to violence if need be. That's why people are willing to barter with them, because they're not going to strong arm them. They're not going to say, come here, monkey, and give me my sunglasses. No. You don't want to do that.
I hear they're hostile to Bitcoin, too.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI, Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and the iHeartRadio app. And we're going to chalk one in the column for Mark Ronner, because he is against all things AI. And this might be another reason why you might have a point. I'm quite sure most of us by now have used ChatGPT. Put a question in the prompt like, what's a good investment strategy? Or how long is the average lifespan of a, Drosophila fly or something like that. But there are others who probably put questionable questions in ChatGPT, like, I'm just saying hypothetically, I've never done it, but you may know someone who's done it, like, how do you go about disposing a dead body? Or how do you go about making meth at home? Because stupid people do stupid things like that.
You should know that your Google searches are searchable and findable by the authorities.
Should know, but it doesn't. But
if you just think you're going to Google, what's the best way to kill somebody and bury a body using quicklime?
Right.
They can find that, and you're gonna be in the doghouse and the big house.
But the problem is, some people believe that if they're asking legal advice of ChatGPT, that there is some sort of inherent attorney-client privilege, or that is a privileged conversation which can't be used against him or her at a later date. According to OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, he made it very clear that there is no legal confidentiality when users talk to ChatGPT, and that OpenAI would be legally required to share those exchanges should they be subpoenaed.
There were so many other upsides.
Let me give you the quote. Quote, right now, if you talk to a therapist or a lawyer or a doctor, there's legal privilege for it. There's doctor-patient confidentiality. There's legal confidentiality. And we haven't figured that out yet for when you talk to ChatGPT. Well, I can figure it out. It's not a person. So you don't have that actual confidentiality there. Now, I don't know if in the future you may see some sort of an agreement to not share certain information, but as it stands right now, if you're asking ChatGPT about something illegal and law enforcement is looking for your digital footprint and they know that you might have done something on ChatGPT, not only will law enforcement actively use that information, but OpenAI and other AI companies will willingly give over the information. So if you ask, hypothetically, how do you dispose of a dead body, that is going to be traceable back to you.
It's not a Catholic priest. You don't get confidentiality.
No. There's no oath. There's no law protecting you. There's no confidentiality. Don't do it. And I, as a matter of rule, don't put questionable things into my searches. I just don't. I don't, because I've always assumed, even before people have gotten in trouble for it, I've always assumed that stuff is public. Not that I'm doing anything illegal, but I don't want even the misinterpretation. Like, for example, it could be something like and this is something that I've had to grapple with working in news talk. For example, there could be a story of a kid, I'm just making this up, a kid who created a nuclear bomb in his garage. And there might be a desire to look it up. It's like, well, how could you make a bomb in your garage? No, I'm not going to do that because that search, even though it was well-intentioned and justifiable because I was researching a news story, is still then connected to me.
It's saved. It's trackable, and there are certain warning words and phrases that raise
Get
up
flags.
red flags.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so be careful what you type into that stuff. It is not anonymous at all.
And for example, this is something I actually avoided doing. When there was the assassination attempt on former President Trump when he was on the campaign trail, there was probably a lot of people who were probably researching presidential assassinations or previous similar incidents. I was going off the top of my head because I was not going to search any of that stuff and then get flagged later on, or just in a reverse search for any reason where I might just be caught in some sort of pool.
No, you don't want an unannounced visit from men in suits.
No, asking questions that I don't want to answer. No. Under no circumstances.
So to sum up, ChatGPT uses up an insane amount of energy.
Yep.
Rots your brain if you rely on it too much.
Yep.
Literally rots your brain within months of using it too much.
Yep.
And also can get you busted if you ask it dicey stuff.
Yeah, get you thrown out of college, you plagiarism, all that kind of stuff.
What's not to love?
Oh, there's a lot not to love, but it's a generational difference. I think because you and me, Mark, we're from a generation when we had to do it all by ourselves. And this younger generation, yes, I want to talk about you, Gen Z, always looking seemingly for a shortcut. They're more inclined to use ChatGPT. I've never used it for anything other than curiosity of like, so what's a good investment strategy? Just to see what type of information it may give back. But I'm not like putting personal information in there. That's another thing they tell you not to do.
Pop culture is full of warnings about no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. I can tell you from the Prisoner series back in the 60s to the Shaolin Temple movie I watched over the weekend. You try to take shortcuts, you pay the price.
And I'm judgmental when it comes to that. Have you ever been driving? And I think you would know what I'm talking about, Mark. Have you ever been driving and let's say there are 2 lanes, residential area, and then there's someone who's always going to try to time the light and pass on the right and go around everyone. Or they'll even go in the left turn lane and then zip back over into the vertical lanes and just skip past everyone. Have you ever seen that? It happens all the time where I live.
I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to picture it.
Okay, let's say, there are 2 lanes.
Yep.
And there's space, I should say, to turn right.
Mm-hmm.
You just come to a regular intersection. And that person will pull up on the right as if they're turning right and instead jump when the light turns green so they can jump in front of you.
Oh, that merits an automatic middle finger.
Absolutely.
Automatic.
Absolutely. But my point is, I always look at that person as someone who's always trying to get over, always looking for a shortcut. And 99 times out of 100, they're in a piece of car, and it's endemic of they've never gotten ahead. They've never gotten ahead, and so they resort to these small things where they think they can get ahead for short amounts of time, and it never leads anywhere big picture.
Yeah, those are the people you don't want to be on a whitewater rafting trip that goes bad with because you know they're only out for themselves.
Always they're like, oh, okay, the rules of the road are only for us, not for you. And there's never a cop around when it happens. Never. I just want to see one person get busted for it. Just one.
Now, my question to you is, do you speed up to try and make them have to slam on their brakes, or do you just let them go around you?
Ask me what age I am. When I was in my 30s and 40s, absolutely every single time.
What about
racing to the death?
Current elder senior Mo?
I will look at them because I know exactly what they're going to do, and they will not look at me because there's some level of embarrassment.
They can't face the penitent stare.
Yeah. And I just look at them and say, just go on, because it's not worth whatever it's going to turn into. Put it that way. It's not worth the verbal back and forth. It's not worth the escalation. Even though I'm in the right, I'm absolutely in the right. It's not worth anything that's going to come out of it. And I would be contradicting everything I've said on this show about de-escalation.
Okay, so the fingers stay sheathed, not even a disappointed head shake, nothing?
I might give a head shake. Like, come on, dude. But that's about it. Okay. I'm not going to give him the finger or anything like that. I'm not going to run or someone.
No, I admire that degree of self-restraint. I don't possess it.
You just get to a certain point where I like peace in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
I'll get there someday, Sifu.
It just won't be today. KFI AM 640, we're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
KFI and KOST HD2, Los Angeles, Orange County. More stimulating talk.